What is going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub. This is K-Dub's High Five, 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today I bring in a new favorite of my own. He's my man, J Mac. J Mac Sports Cards on all socials. Dude, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. I really appreciate the invite. Glad to be here on the show with you.
Oh man, and I wanted to say I appreciate your channel a lot. I feel like you and I are kind of in the same niche when it comes to sports cards because I know you do a lot of the $1, $2, $5 cards, which is right up my alley, man. So I'm a subscriber for life.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of more. I know we'll get into it, but that's kind of what most people think about me. But I use that as the entry point to get to other means. You know what I
For
mean? Like
sure.
to build my personal collection and to
Yeah.
get, also to sell bigger cards. So it always keeps a little bit of cash moving when you can sell low end.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll get into all of it. I promise. How this works, man. I got 5 questions, all hobby related. They're coming one right after another. You ready for the high five?
Let's do it.
All right, man. J Max Sports Cards. Kind of give me a rundown of kind of how you would define yourself when it comes to the social media hobby. Like, how would you kind of classify yourself when it comes to your content?
Right. Yeah, so I started making content, just vlogging like everyone, kind of like when the shows opened up after post COVID.
Gotcha.
So I was going to shows and just vlogging the shows, and I guess the differentiation even in that, like the channel did grow, it was more of a snail's pace at that time. I still got the 3 or 4 thousand subscribers, but it was so my audience would be, more people that can relate to me, because a lot of the big bloggers, they're just single guys who travel the world and do,
Mm,
so I'm married, got a family, got kids, and I
yeah.
was those will be incorporated into it, but not overly, because some people, there's some channels that they overdo the kid thing, and then that turns people away.
Mm,
So, but I just do the shows with my wife and kids and sometimes I do them solo. But
yeah.
so that's how I kind of built my brand a little bit on that, and then I pivoted when I started seeing the hobby pivot. When the hobby, the collapse, I would say, of the big market. You know what I mean? The
Gotcha.
market collapse, and
Post
then I pivoted. What's that?
the post pandemic hobby.
Post pandemic big rise in fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I started. It was probably October last year. I started pivoting towards, really, I was going to ramp up. I started buying the equipment and things like that to ramp up on eBay to list thousands of cards. And so I started getting into that, and then I kind of rebranded, not really rebranded, just I put an emphasis on my content being surrounding reselling cards and bulk, like that.
Yeah.
And basically, because there's a lot of big content creators that are resellers on YouTube,
Yeah.
and but the in the hobby, in the sports card hobby, there's not very many
Mm,
channels that focus on this end of the hobby,
for
which
sure.
I learned pretty quickly that I would say at least 50% of people that consume content are also resellers in some capacity.
Yep. For sure.
Right. And
Yeah.
so when I started doing it, I mean, the channel just took off like a rocket, and it hasn't stopped. I'm picking up 150 to 100 subs a day now. It's
I
pretty
love it,
crazy.
man. Well, congrats, man. We'll keep building it. You've obviously found kind of your angle, and you're in kind of like you said, kind of this new time of the hobby. So I dig it, man.
Yeah.
Good work. You got me. You got me. So I'm in. All right, man. Well, second question. Let's talk about just collecting in general for you. As you think about kind of your journey into the hobby, into sports card collecting, who would you credit as some of kind of your biggest influences when it comes to collecting sports cards?
Yeah, well, I think when I began to, like most people, you start going to shows and things like that, and then you start watching content. Well, the biggest, like, channel that influenced my, even like learning, because, okay, I'll give you a little bit of backdrop. I've been buying, and mostly just buying cards since
Hmm.
junk wax era, 80s, late 80s, early 90s,
So,
and so been in the hobby for a long time, but I have not really, very much been a dealer, or a flipper, or selling sports cards.
Yeah.
that although I mean I've had my eBay account open since '09, and
Mm.
so I've sold things, but here and there, but never to where I was trying to scale it. You know what I mean? But baseball card investor, collector, dealer, he was the biggest influence on learning to not just focus on singles and try to flip graded cards,
Yeah.
things of that nature. It was buying collections, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and he's probably the soundest voice of reason in the hobby, in my personal opinion. So he's probably had the biggest influence of all of what I do, as far as the dealer side of the hobby.
Gotcha. Now you said you've been collecting since childhood?
Yeah, as probably 8 or 10 years old. Yeah, I mean, I got an older brother. He's a couple years older, and we during the junk wax era, we were all in,
Yeah.
and we had a glass display case in our room, and
Okay.
we would have friends over and treat it like a card shop, but also trade. You know what I mean?
I love it.
And yeah, so we kind of been a little bit entrepreneurial since early
Absolutely.
on, but like I said, never really figured it out like that you could actually make this make a hobby a full-time thing,
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I love it. I love, man, a glass case in your bedroom. That is like the dream of every 80s and 90s kid right there. So shout out to you guys.
Right.
And that's awesome. So all
Yeah.
right. Well, let's talk a little bit about collecting. When you think about like your Grail chase, the card that you've always wanted or the item that you've always wanted, what would you kind of classify as that for you and why?
Yeah, well, I will say that I do not have the grails that I would like to eventually obtain.
Yeah.
I do. I got a great personal collection, and I'm still a collector to this day. Some
Yeah.
people get into this and they just completely pivot and they sell everything.
Ah,
I'm still a bit of a hoarder, and I still when I buy collections, I usually keep 5 to 10 cards. You know what I
gotcha.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm very
Okay.
much more selective nowadays, though.
Yeah. No doubt.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Um,
is there one out there? I mean,
there
what's one of
is.
the trails?
Yeah, there is. So like I'll tell you, so my biggest PC, the people that I'm gonna hold on to for long term are Brady, Jordan, and Steph Curry. So
Okay.
those three are my. So I don't have an '86 Fleer Jordan. Want one of those
Okay.
one day, but I just feel like I can get those at any time. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So you can get them in low grade for I could trade a couple of my PC cards and eventually get one. So I'm not really like pressed to get one of those. The biggest grail of them all would be a Brady Chrome refractor.
okay. And, and
Yeah,
and why?
just because I mean, but Brady's introduction into the league was just so weird, was so
Mhm.
odd that he was in 2000 Bowman, then he wasn't in any other products
Yeah.
really until '02. So he's got so little. And then that was like the first couple years of Chrome cards,
Gotcha.
and the refractors were so rare. So a Tom Brady 2000 Chrome refractor. There's only like I don't remember that. I feel like it was only like 35 of them that have been graded by PSA.
Wow. Okay.
It's really low. They're really rare. They're like super rare. And
Okay.
so like that's why I said like a Jordan rookie. I know I'll be able to eventually attain one of those.
Yeah.
But a braid, even you could. There's a lot more
Yeah.
Bowman Chrome base Brady's they're obtainable. There's a couple thousand of them that are
For sure.
graded,
Yeah.
or maybe more. I'm probably understating that, but the refractors are just very rare, and there's no other. I don't think there's any variations to it. Could be
Yeah.
wrong on that. I think it's just refractors, just base and refractors. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, that's an end goal that we'll see if we ever get there.
All right. Well, I got my fingers crossed for you. What's the tie to Brady? I mean, just the GOAT, or I mean, do you have any
Yeah,
kind of personal ties there?
no, not really. Not. I used to hate him when he was a Patriot. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
makes sense.
yeah, but
Uh,
and two, I'm a Panther fan, obviously by the hat, and
absolutely.
from North Carolina, and but they beat us, and we've been to two Super Bowls, lost to the Broncos, to Peyton, and to Brady.
Yep.
So It's just respect. It's the respect. It's the what he has done is probably never going to be. It's never going to be duplicated, especially in the NFL. You know, where it's such a high turnover and
Yep.
quarterbacks. I mean, Mahomes has got maybe a shot, but he'd have to do some incredible things to replicate what Brady's done.
Well, and the longevity of it all too. I mean,
Yeah,
Mahomes has got the squad right now to continue to do it, but in 10 years, is Kelsey still going to be there? Are they still going to have Andy Reid there? You know, I mean,
Andy Reid.
there's so many pieces to Brady where it's like the longevity of it to do what he did for so long. I mean, it just can't be
That's it.
matched. You're absolutely right.
That's it. That's yeah. That's exactly it. And I think so. That's the case with Brady, and I also think. I mean, and that was the there was never a more dominant like 8 year span with Jordan. You know,
Oh,
so
absolutely. Yep.
of anybody ever. So
Yep.
that's why those guys. So I pick up when I pick up collections. I usually keep a few cool Jordan inserts if there's some in there. I
Okay.
don't really have any crazy high end. I've got $200, $300, $400 cards of
Yeah.
all those guys, but nothing crazy big. But I'd still try to keep them when I get them.
Right on. Well, I got a random Jordan PC where I collect him in the 45 jerseys. So if you ever come
Okay.
across any cool 45s, holler my way, man. I'm your guy.
How
So
how many cards has he got in 45?
it's only
Can't
in
be
the
that many.
it's only in the 94, 95 sets. And it's not a ton. I mean, it's really not a ton. So
If you were to guess, how many would you say are out there?
I would say there's probably I probably have like 20 to 30 and
20 30 to 30 different cards.
yeah, variations. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's a couple sets where it features him, like the 45 was a set. And so there's 5 or 6 different cards in there, but the number's
Okay.
really low. I mean, I would say 40 to 50 cards at the max. So,
Gotcha.
but there are
That's
some
cool.
there are some really cool ones and some really expensive ones. So, uh,
That's cool.
anyways, enough about me, man. This is your high five here. Question number 4. When you think about product, you got all the money in the world. You can rip any product you want. What box are you grabbing and why?
I think it probably would be that the 86. Without, I guess that would be like the icing on the cake if I get an 86 Fleer and rip my own Jordan and pull
There
it.
you go. Yep.
Because and I would say Bowman Chrome, but those I don't even know if you can find those that aren't bricked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're the Chrome products that are 25 years old. It's going to be very hard. But the Fleer, you can still get them where they're not. You know, where they're not going to be stuck together. So
Absolutely.
just because of the type of a product that they were, so probably ripping one of those 86 Fleer and pulling my own Jordan that would be awesome.
And I mean, the chances of there being one in that box is so high. Like you said, I mean, there was literally a Jordan rookie almost in every box that was made. So
Yeah, two or three usually.
yeah,
There's usually two or three per box.
your chances are pretty good, which would be the ultimate grail, right? To pull your own
Yeah,
Jordan rookie. So
absolutely.
right on. All right, man. Last question for you here. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning, but one thing that kind of turned me on your channel was your talking about selling cards on eBay and mainly focusing on the lower end stuff and moving that at high volume. If you were to speak to someone who was kind of new to the hobby, getting into the hobby, and going into the selling game, kind of what advice would you give to them when you're pursuing selling cards on eBay or maybe even other social media platforms? But maybe we can focus on eBay.
I would say if you the best advice I would give anybody like in the hobby, no matter really what your goal is with it, even if you're just going to be a part-time thing where you just build your personal collection, is to buy in bulk and or buy collections.
Yeah.
Don't and basically ignore the real hypey videos that you see that about flipping single cards. That's a near it's a unicorn to enter a card right now and then to flip it within a very short period of time for a profit is not something that's normal. That's because unless it's something occurs that week when you buy a card of a player,
Yeah.
that's pretty special. But so a reason I say that is because you can typically, even if, like I said, if you're just trying to build your personal collection, you can buy a bulk lot, sell off most of it, keep a card or two, and basically get into them for free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
that's a
I love that advice. That idea of kind of building your own collection while making money or breaking even, like you said, on the cards that you acquire. So
100%.
when you look for a lot or when you're kind of shopping around, kind of what things kind of pique your interest as far as buying a lot or buying a collection from someone? Like, are there key things that you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, and that's evolved over the course of time. Like when I go to shows, I cherry pick boxes, or if I see like I'll be going through dollar boxes or $5 boxes, and if there's a lot of things that I see in it that look like stuff that I know I could resell and have and do resell, then I would try to make a play on the whole box, or I
Gotcha.
just cherry pick it and I just get things that I know that key players, Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
rookies, low serial number stuff, just things that I know move. I personally like cherry picking boxes. It shows that's probably one of the best. I have the most enjoyment doing that. But if it's a collection, if it's buying a collection, it's got to be it has to be enough meat on the bone where it's got to be some good stuff, and then it's just got to be a good deal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not even. I turn down a lot more collections than I buy. Put it
Sure.
that way.
No, I got you. I got you. All right, man. Hey, one more bonus question here. You said you go through boxes that shows you're cherry picking. Obviously, you got a decent following on YouTube. Has anyone ever looked at you and said, "Wait a minute, you're J-Mac," as you're going through their dollar boxes of cards?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens quite a bit more often these days. At this most recent show I went to, it was funny that this was in Alabama, which I've only been to 2 shows in Alabama,
Hmm.
and but anyway, I was a dealer came over and he bought. I had 2 or 3, no, it was three row boxes, $2 boxes, and he said I want them all, so he bought them all. But so he goes to begin to tell me about why he's buying them is because he's starting to ramp up on eBay and resell, and he bought this scanner, this Epson scanner. You see where I'm going, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So eventually I was like, where'd you learn about that? Did you watch a video on that? He had watched my stuff. He didn't even know it was me though.
That is too funny, man.
Yeah. So I like when that happens, when they don't recognize me, but
Yeah.
I know that I've had some sort of influence on something they're into. So
Pretty special.
um,
It's pretty special.
yeah, that was the wildest one where he didn't even know it was me that you know
Hey,
he's but he's
let me tell you about this guy I've been watching on YouTube. Okay, tell me about him.
yeah, and he's like, he was real excited too. He's like, man, yeah, I've sold like 2,000 cards in the past 2 months or something like that.
That's great, man. Well, makes you
So
feel pretty good as well. So,
yeah,
cool, man. All right, well, we got the end here. We got a high five. So throw up the high five at the end of the high five. Boom.
all right.
Follow J Mac on all socials, J Mac Sports Cards. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Also, if you're bored, you can sub to this channel, DizzyDub1, or follow me on Twitter at Mr. KDub. Shout out to the high five endorsers this season, Buck City Breaks and Eric Hacker with Rack of the Day on Twitter. Hey, man, it was so good chatting with, man. I appreciate what you do. Keep it up. We'll see if we can get you a few more subs based on the high five. Who knows? But I appreciate you joining me, man. I really do.
I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Deuces.
Next time on the next high five.